probably get into this. We'll get into this in the interview, I'm sure. But what interests
Oh, we're
me-
in it. Sorry, I didn't know if you had anything in specific you want to chat about, but this is pretty much it. It's a free flowing conversation. But sorry, I just interrupt you.
Oh, great.
But if you
Well,
want to
because,
cut anything out, you can let me know.
Sure, no problem. You'll edit it as you need to. It's fine. As a doctor for 45 years, every doctor has the exact same issue with their patients. Every doctor has the same issue. And that issue is, why don't they take better care of themselves? People know better. They know how they know not to eat junk food, take your vitamins, get your exercise, get some rest. Unless something's wrong, you don't know it, but everyone pretty much knows this. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or a physician to figure this out. But we still tend to sabotage our lives repeatedly. And so I know there are addictions and other compelling factors, but after talking with many people, many hundreds of young people especially, it came obvious to me that there's a subconscious self-loathing that makes us sabotage our lives, our health, wealth, prosperity, relationships, success, whatever you want. People keep sabotaging themselves, and they know better, but they can't stop it. That's due to a subconscious self-loathing in the back of your mind.
Where does that come from?
And I looked at that for years. And when it came up, actually, interestingly enough, it came out that the relationship between that and a poor relationship with their fathers. It's the dads not showing up in the kids' lives properly. And they just can't, they don't feel valid, they don't feel worthy. They don't feel, I love telling this one particular story. My daughter brought some friends home with her from school on a weekend and hanging out a little bit. And my daughter walks in the house, and I give her a big hug and a kiss, and her friend says to her, "Your father hugs you?" She said, "Of course. My father never hugs me." We're talking during dinner, and she tells a story. When she comes home, her father will sit down on the couch and look at her intently and listen to her and respond to her and just speak with her, and really a very very highly connected conversation. Then she says, "But he never touches me." To a child, especially to a girl, you know what her thought is?
He doesn't love me.
She says, "What's wrong with me? He won't touch me. What's wrong with me? My father won't touch me." And so, of course, she has all the kind of problems, and she uses food to fill that endless void inside of her. And sadly, she's quite overweight. You might call her a food addict, but I really think she's an emotionally, traumatized child. And so it became apparent to me how important. I now ask people, did your father ever hug you? And misanthropic, these people who are struggling in life, the answer is universally almost the same answer. And what do you think the answer is?
Not a chance. Yeah. No,
right.
I know the type, actually. It's crazy because I almost want to ask you a couple questions right off the bat.
Go.
The first one is, was it Freud that talked about his relationship with his mother so much?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So do you think now, do you think it's mainly, I've always had this concept that, and it's pretty Freudian. It's almost right out of his books, right? Like it's like and you kind of described it too, where it's always like kind of, and this is I'm an idiot, so I'm granted, but I've always noticed like it would be like the woman's relationship with her father, and then the men's relationship with his mother. Are you saying that regardless of your gender, it's your relationship with your father that teaches you maybe that through, I don't know whether it's for lack of a better term, physical intimacy, like a hug, a kiss, a pat on the back, whatever it is, You associate that with I might be good enough. That validates me. I'm lovable. Do you think it's always the father, or do you think with men it's typically the woman, the mother? Do you think with daughter it's typically the father? What are your thoughts on that? I'm just
You
trying to
know,
understand.
talk with many, many hundreds of people about it. It's basically the father. The
Mm,
father plays such an important role, and sadly, society, the feminist movement, all these pressures on life have men feel disregarded and superfluous in the relationships in the family and the kids.
mm-hmm.
More than half the kids in this country are brought up in broken homes. More than half are brought up in broken homes. And
Yeah.
in most cases, how involved do you think the father is?
Oh man, I've seen it in my own like, well, not my personal life, but people around me. And yeah, it's brutal.
It's, and now what happens is the boys grow up without a father figure, without a man figure. They don't know how to be a man. And they
Hmm.
grow full grown adults and they're children in their mind. They don't know.
Hmm.
They were never guided. They have maybe from the media, from movies or, I don't know, TikTok, where they're looking at for what men are supposed to look like and be, but they have no clue how to be a man. They
Right.
don't know. And now they have to raise children. Now the mother's bringing the kids up, but it takes a man to make a boy into a man. A
Hmm.
woman cannot make a boy into a man. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so men role models and men setting up the right kind of the pattern of life is voids. Now, not only these kids bereft of a father figure and a man in their life, but now these boys they become fathers or not. And
Yeah.
we're seeing now, Mark, we're seeing something even more remarkable. I'm seeing these guys in their 30s who never date.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys graduating from college. Now, I oppose promiscuity. I think it's a bad idea.
I'm in the same boat. Even though I didn't live that way, and people might call that hypocritical, but I can say that I've lived both ways, and the promiscuity made me much more miserable, and it led me down dark paths.
Right. Destroys people's futures. So a different discussion. But still, graduating college and have never dated is a very bad sign.
Hmm.
The men feel so emasculated because there's no man in their life. They're being kind of guided through life by women, which, with their best of interest at heart, don't know how a boy thinks and feels. I was, now thank God I got 8 kids, 6 girls, 2 boys.
Congratulations, man. That's the goal.
Thanks. And thank God they're all married. And so I'm watching him, and one of my grandsons, his mother, my daughter, was trying to
Mhm.
cuddle him up and everything else like that. And he's fighting, resisting. He's a cute little kid. He's like 10, 11 years old, a cute kid, a really beautiful kid. And he did not like it. I said to my daughter, I said, no, 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 that's not how you do it. And I started banging this kid and wrestling and throwing him around. And he's all smiles. And so she tries, yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got to wrestle with boys. Take the boys you wrestle with them, throw them around.
Hmm.
Rough house. Boys
Throw
really
them.
need it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I 100% agree. There is something behind that for sure. Like just having that kind of rough and tumble they call it, or I always just call it like you got to know your physical boundaries. You got to understand like your physical boundaries, and like I even just like I remember there was like a first time where I like as a teenager where like an adult had pushed me and I pushed him back. And then that was like the first time where I realized, oh, we're like on the same level. Like I'm at like the same kind of physical capacity at this point now. And you can always see, I've always said that too. And it's kind of a trope where you're like, yeah, oh, you can tell the type of person that's never been punched in the face before, just based off of what they're willing to say to somebody in public and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's and again, it's a trope for a reason. It's kind of funny. We laugh at it, but then it's also like you can tell the type of people that grew up that just didn't have other men, other boys. Like if you were like 6 to 10 years old and you didn't have other boys, where you were playing basketball or hockey or pushing each other, shoving each other, and you learn like, oh, that type of action turns this less into a joke and more into a serious thing. Whereas like we can still laugh about it when maybe it's a push and not a punch. I don't know. I just feel like that type of there's a physical like kind of limitation or boundary that's kind of unspoken, but it's just understood by all men if they've
Yeah.
kind of developed that way. Where you're like, well, you don't say that about a guy's wife or his family. Like you can say it about him, but not his family. Like there's just all these just unspoken rules where like if I said them, you're like, yeah, yeah. But then if you don't have that development, those are the types of people, or in my opinion, if you spend too much time looking at the little pleasure box we keep in our pockets and you just comment all the time, you actually can degrade that development in my eyes. But again,
That's
I'm not a
exactly what
doctor.
happens. And we see now it's called the fecundity rate, which means reproductive rate per person. It has dropped precipitously. Precipitously. People they don't want to become parents. They don't
For a
become a
carpenter,
father.
what does that word mean?
What, carpenter?
Precipitous. No, I said for a
Oh,
carpenter.
precipitous.
What does the word mean for?
It means a rapid drop.
Okay.
It's like you walk on a cliff, and
Hmm.
it's called a precipice. It means that
Okay.
sheer cliff down to the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, I know
And
that word. Precipice. The
you look
cusp.
down that thing, and your heart goes, and things are. That's all about.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that really rough drop, and we see a lot of it. I'll tell you, it, it was my generation when all this began, really. And I went to believe it or not, my 50-year high school reunion. I'm talking to the kids in the class, kids, kids in the class, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All my old friends, and talking to the girls there. And they're talking to you about families and the kind of stuff. We kind of, chat about stuff you do and you haven't seen someone for 20 years, whatever it is, and chatting. And I asked, but do you have grandkids? Grandchildren? Oh, they say. Maybe the child, maybe get married, nothing.
Hmm.
And I probably had more grandchildren than the entire class combined. Maybe that's a little bit exaggerated, but
Yeah.
people are not. They've gotten so enmeshed in the unnecessary trappings of success and power and influence and fortune and fame. They've lost sight of what's important in life, reality in
Hmm.
life. At a certain age, and they said, "Whoops, whoops, it's too late now.
Yeah.
You're at the end of the line."
Yep.
And there was a lot of sad. Once I started talking about this stuff, people became sad. They became sad. There's no continuance. And these are good high end kids in the class and really great people. And the girls were smart and they were, cute and the boys are and all the right stuff, but flat,
Yeah.
flat.
Yeah. They get tricked. They get
Get
tricked
tricked.
into it. It's like what do they call it? Velvet handcuffs, right? Because I
Yeah.
feel like and again, I generalize a lot. So if you're not comfortable with that, let me know. But I generalize quite a bit, and I'm going to take the liberty to do that right now. But I feel like men a lot of the time are convinced I need to get a lot of money. I got to collect resources so I can be a more impressive catch and get a better partner. And then the women are tricked into thinking one of two things. I either got to get plastic surgery and become that perfect trophy, or I got to become girl boss and not need a man. And then I can kind of pursue that route of safety and security where if I need to, I can leave a relationship and still be the CEO or whatever. And so we're kind of both tricked into like, I'm going to go and collect all my resources. And that's where you get all the guys becoming incels. And then you have the other side of it where the women are going, I'm going to go either become a plastic woman. No offense. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I told you I'm generalizing. Or become the girl boss. I don't need a man. And then both people are left thinking, I need to collect things to get the partner or security from the partner, whatever it is. and they lose track of what the actual goal is like your actual goal is to have the partner and then start the family and do the thing. And again, I know that's not maybe for everybody, but I think intrinsically as humans, that's the reward system. I think that that's kind of what we're supposed to do. And so you kind of lose track of that, right? Like you kind of and again, I think the more maybe it's traditional, maybe whatever it is. But like I do home renovations. I was talking to my customer this week and he has his daughter and granddaughter and son-in-law visiting from California. And so the daughter comes, they take the granddaughter to the mall, the grandpa, my homeowner, the customer. He takes his granddaughter to the mall, buys her like whatever, little toy, a hat, and then the daughter goes, "Oh, Dad, how come you didn't buy me that when I was a kid?" And he's like, "I didn't fucking have money then." Excuse my French, but he's like, I didn't do it in the wrong order. And it made me think about, he found a woman that loved him for who he is. He started a family, and then eventually, through that partnership and camaraderie, they built more like of an enterprise together. Like that's the right way to do it. Whereas I'm 31, my generation of like I'm talking to half my friends or I'm at that precipice point where half my friends are either having kids or they're going like 80-hour work weeks. Like those are the people that I talk to. And it's like you're almost losing track of it, right? In my eyes, that's the way I view it. What are your thoughts on that kind of stuff? Do you think the society kind
Well,
of lays those velvet handcuffs on us and tricks us until it's too late? That's kind of what I'm pointing towards, but I'm curious to hear. I need to grab a charger really quick, actually. Can you afford me 2 minutes to just run and
sure,
grab
go
a
for it.
cable? I'm back in action now. Sorry.
Okay, great. Well, I'll tell you a couple of things. I'm going to start with something a little bit off from the topic, because the phrase you used, and I want you to know, my children have never heard me use profanity of any sort. There's never been
Wow.
cuss words in my house ever. I won't allow it. They've never heard me yell. I mean, you raise your voice sometimes to get their attention. They've heard me yell. And I think setting up a situation where there's dignity and respect creates a home where kids feel safe and want to emulate that in a healthy fashion. And so, never, and I tell people, if you use profanity, never, ever in the home. It brings the home energy down. Language is very important. Language is very, very important, how we communicate. It says a lot. And we want the whole idea to make the home a safe, uplifting, happy, loving place. And I know there's moods, I know there's ups and downs. I've been through life a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But you want to make the house, make your life one of uplifting, inspiring, holy, safe, and a place people want to feel. They go, "Oh, wow, what's different about this house?" They walk in and say, "What's different? This is very, very something different about this place," and that's what happens. And so that's that using of French is something that we have to be very careful. It became so commonplace nowadays. When I was growing up, we never spoke those kind of words around women, especially my mom. Oh, in the house, for sure. My mom, oh my gosh, we would never even consider it.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe, say the S word. We would never say the word, never. Respect. It was there was a certain amount of distinctions between men and women were respected differently. The feminist movement made us disrespect women. We robbed men of the ability to have chivalry and to be respectful and to have put them on a certain type of a plane. It was robbed from us, and it has long-term effects. And we see that what you're talking about now is very, very, very important. We have our priorities mixed up. Now, I must say that a man's job is to provide and protect. I strongly feel that a woman's job is to nurture. We're designed differently. Now, if you look at people, look at magnets. What makes magnets powerful to attract each other?
The opposition force.
Right. The stronger the polarity, the greater the attraction, and the harder better they stay together. And so creating that polarity is important. The man's roles, the woman's roles. Has to be discussed, has to be worked out, but there should be unspoken understanding. The man provider and protector. A man has to have to direct your sons and protect your daughters.
Hmm.
And we all know when daughters are not protected, what happens to those girls. We all know,
Yeah. It's
right?
like, yeah, they're going to seek protection from somewhere.
So and there was a fellow who was just had a baby girl, and this is a true story. He was interviewing, he was talking to one of his friends who was a seducer. He was a very successful womanizer, shall we say.
Mm.
And he asked the friend to tell me, how do I keep my girls from being, from guys like you? How do you protect them? He said, tell your girls you love them and hug them. Otherwise, I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man,
So
that puts a pit in my stomach. I don't even have a kid.
men have to step up to the plate, step up to the plate in being a man in the household. And we have to set the priorities, have the values. What you're describing is people without proper values. The values, yes, man has to work hard, and you should accumulate a certain amount of money to support your family, and that's important to do. It's not the goal of life, but it's a means to an end. If you want to have a family, you got to have a family, you got to pay bills, you got to make a living, and for sure. But power and prestige and financial gain, it's at a certain point in time, it hurts you, doesn't help you, doesn't serve you anymore.
Yeah, it's like
You
a
want
tool, right? Like you have to think about the purpose of it. As a construction company, if I just acquired a lot of drills just because I thought drills were a useful commodity and a resource, they're a tool. But if I'm just acquiring drills, then I'm becoming less of a construction company and more of just a drill wholesaler, maybe at best. It's like you're losing
yeah,
sight of what's important. Yes, it's important to have drills, but
right,
like why? Right? Like because we need to use them, you should focus a bit more on the carpentry. That's the kind of way I view it. Like you can spend your whole life pursuing more digital numbers on your bank account, dollar signs, and yes, that's useful. It's useful to be able to go to the grocery store and purchase food. It's useful to be able to get a car so you can go to work. But like you have to remember like what it's for. Right? Like that's
right,
the way I look at
right.
it, right?
100%. Given the blessing of an income, and they have free time, and it should be used properly. Have income. We should be giving money for charity. We should be able. A responsible man gives 10%, gives charity. Thank you, God, for the blessings you gave me. If I have an income, thank you, and
Yeah.
share it. We're given an allotment to share, not to hoard. And what happens when we have those values? The girls that bring up do not need to all that plastic stuff to impress. The girls need to look pretty. I'm all into girls looking pretty. That's fine. That's
It's
great.
very nice. Yeah, it's very nice.
Right. But if that becomes an obsession,
Hmm.
then you got a problem.
Exactly.
If you got men should be strong, men should be fit. We all need to be fit. Okay, men should be strong. I'm into that. Fitness. I work out regularly. It's very important. And you have certain roles to play in life. But then when you have the roles, you have the goals, then everything kind of falls into place within a somewhat certain range. Then you work on some of the details. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a plug, because it's a very important part of my book, A Real Man's Guide to Becoming a Terrific Dad. It outlines the processes men go through developing their character, inspiring their children, and raising a very happy, healthy, loving family, and raising healthy, happy adults from their children. So it's a guidebook, actually.
Hmm.
That's what I call it, A Real Man's Guide to Becoming a Terrific Dad.
Yeah.
It took years to write this, years, in order to get because men don't have the guidelines we used to have,
Oh yeah,
and we
dude.
need to have it.
I feel that because I know like even again I'm 31 right now. So as I was going through my 20s was like the first time when Jordan Peterson drops his books, 12 Rules for Life, Maps of Meaning, those types of things. That was like the first time again, I was very blessed with who my parents are, the way that I was loved and the way that I was brought up. But that was like the first time where it was like aside from being handed a Bible, it was like an actual and even being handed a Bible, there is no real like step by step. You got to actually like study these things and see, okay, this is an analogy for this, and this is strategic. That was like the first time getting like one of Jordan Peterson's books, where it was like, here's 12 things to do, just try them out and see if it improves your life. That was like
Yeah,
the first time where it was like that direct. And again, I don't think that I think that there's power in behind having to study something and understand the analogies and the I'm trying to you think of the word but you know what I'm trying to say. I think that there's a
yeah,
power behind having to seek a little harder. You value the information more, you apply it better, and you develop an understanding as opposed to a knowing of the knowledge.
that's right. That's right.
But
That's right.
but that said, it is nice as a young, dumb 25-year-old guy who's just looking for a bit more structure to just have like a here's 12 things, just try these out. Let me know if that improves your life. And guess what? It usually will. Because
Yeah,
actually, what I think men need a lot of the time, I think everybody, but especially men, is like some sort of a structure. And again, I'm a big free will libertarian, but there is something behind having some structure, having some, limitations on those things.
well, actually, so Mark, the idea of mentorship, men mentoring other men, you're hitting on one of my big topics.
mhm.
That's my goal is mentorship. I had some training programs. One's called the New Warrior Program. Mankind Project was great, and it demonstrated. Let's talk. It demonstrated what mentorship looks like, and men need mentorship. I'm
Mhm.
not telling you what to do. I'm not teaching. I'm mentoring you, guiding, setting examples, listening,
Mhm.
and that's the idea of mentorship because you don't know how to be unless you're taught. Otherwise, you're going to fake it or follow some who knows what kind of examples you're going to follow.
Mhm.
So that mentorship, that's actually another shameless plug I'm going to put in from the program.
Oh, do it, dude. That's the point of
Yeah,
this. I want people to understand that there is ways out there. And I was even going to
it's called,
ask you, like for sorry, go ahead.
it's called beaterrificdad.com. Beaterrificdad.com. And you can get on there. You can get if there's time, you can sign up for a 30-minute, call to find out. Perhaps you can get some direction for yourself, programs to get in, get the book, whatever. But we have to work with each other, and it's a responsibility of older men who've gained some wisdom and experience to mentor younger men,
Hmm.
so they don't make the same mistakes, and
Hmm.
perhaps go a little further, a little easier in life. Otherwise, some mistakes can be kind of devastating. We can make mistakes that are really devastating mistakes,
Oh yeah.
right? And it's
I
why go there? I mean, it's already been done. Why repeat the same mistakes? Make your own mistakes. I've
yeah,
already
yeah.
made some, right?
I made that joke with a younger guy at work the other day. It was he was one of the apprentices on the job site. And I was like, dude, every mistake that you've made, I've made like 100 times more. And I'm just praying for you, dude, because I hope that you have an ability that I don't have, which is to learn from other people's mistakes. Like, hear what I'm saying and learn from my mistake. Don't suffer the consequences, dude. It sucked. And if I could redo it, I would. Like, learn from other people's mistakes. That's all I could tell. All I could tell you, man. Like someone's already made the mistake, dude. Just do the history, just look into it.
Now, Mark,
But
I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to add one other caveat. Success leaves clues.
mm,
Who succeeded, and what have they done to succeed? Not only learn other people's mistakes, learn other people's successes.
Hmm.
If you see a successful man who has what you want, how did you get there? You
Yeah.
want a family. Look for someone with a loving family. You want to
Hmm.
have a business. You want to have whatever you health, whatever you want to have. When I was in medical school, we were taught how to observe people, how to look at people. And this is one of the early parts where I was looking into really becoming a healer, not just a doctor. And I would watch, observe people, and I look and see, there's some people I know they're older than they look.
Hmm.
But I would go to ask them. I was a young guy, I could do this. Crazy young kid. I was like 25, 6, 7, whatever it was. I said, no, 24. I said, excuse me, sir, may I ask how old you are? And so, why do you ask? I said, because you seem young. I said, how old? He says his age. I said, oh. So why are you so much younger than you look? What are you doing differently? And this is where I learned from older people who have what I want to have.
Mm.
This is where I learned it. I learned that everybody except for 3 people, I talked to a lot of people, but everyone except for 3 people was doing the same thing. They're all taking vitamins.
Hmm.
Now we're talking back in the 70s when this vitamin stuff was like woo-woo and doctors don't do this kind of stuff. So it was way ahead of the curve. And then 3 people who were not taking vitamins had extremely good diets. Extremely good diets. So there's a correlation between what you eat, how you look, how you feel, how you think.
Mm.
So I started watching how people do life. And I tell you, that's where you begin to really learn. See people who have what you want. How'd you get there?
Mm. Yeah. And I've been doing a lot of thinking recently as well about like devices and social media and technology. And honestly, it's always like an interesting conversation because it's just such a weird moment in time. And I say that because back to mentorship and talking to people, learning from their success, learning from their failures. Like I've been on this thing recently where I've been thinking, throughout life we had like maybe smaller communities, smaller towns. People were more religious. They'd go to their temple of worship or their church or whatever. There was like almost like an enforced community among us, and you were just like
Yeah.
you had to interact with aunt, uncle, people that you called aunts and uncles, but they were just buddies of your parents or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And they knew about what you did on the weekend, during the week. They knew what your grades were like. They knew how your sports teams were doing. There, and it was uncomfortable. Like there was no way to avoid that. They knew who you were dating. They knew who you did date. They knew you know what it was. And it was like sometimes you had to be like, "Yo, uncle, please, like stop." You know. Whereas nowadays, and again, yeah, I'm sure like you've got kids that are around my age probably, and it's like almost like the exact opposite. Where like before the separation had to be intentional. You had to go off to college. You had to go off and do something else to get away from that circle. And it was like the norm was to be connected, and the disconnection was like an intentional thing you had to do. Like a universal rumspringer. Whatever the Mormons
Yeah.
do or whatever. And now it's the opposite. Like we're in this world where like, yeah, mothers, fathers, son and daughter can be all under the same roof, but they're just like staring at phones, staring at Netflix, staring, scrolling through Amazon, looking at the bills. Like everyone's just like disconnected by default. And like actually like the intentional part is like it's almost looked at as bizarre if you're like, hey, do you guys want to leave all these screens and just walk around outside for an hour? And people are like, what? What are we gonna do? And you're like, I don't know. I could talk about how I feel. And they're like, why would we do that? Like, what? You know what I
By the way,
mean? Like, it's
Rumspringer, I think
sorry.
it's the Amish have Rumspringer. I think it's the Amish that do that.
Okay,
Send the
yeah, you're
kids
probably
off,
right. Yeah, yeah.
and they send the kids, and almost all of them come back.
Right. But that's what I'm
'Cause-
saying. You know what I mean? Like that's
yeah,
exactly what I mean by it. Is like that was the exception to the rule was like here you're going to go for like a short stint, maybe it's off to college, maybe it's Rumspring, maybe whatever it is, but oftentimes they come back. That's exactly my point, right? Like is like
Yeah.
that's the default was connection. And then we had to force like a bit of disconnection to really make us realize. Whereas now, like just by default is just we're disconnected. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like a weird point in time where like you have
You
to
know,
intentionally join a jujitsu class and get mentorship from some random guy. You know what I mean? Like it's like you have to really be selective now with like because it's like you have to you're choosing your connection at this point. You know,
I'll
there
tell you,
is no
you're touching on a very, very important point. You know, and my wife and I were discussing this just last night, that with free time, you would think society now is to the point where people have free time. Back in the old
Mhm.
days, you worked from dawn to dusk and nighttime. You just kept moving. You couldn't. You were trying to survive. We now have homes with floors, heating, air conditioning, extra clothes, indoor plumbing, plenty of food. Poor people are fat. I mean, we have such an incredible life,
Yeah.
and we have free
Poor people
time.
have homeless people have iPads.
Right. And so, but what do we do with our free time? You would think the ideal, we have free time. Meditate, learn, study, grow, relate, relationships. You'd have all kind of lofty ideals,
Hmm.
but the best people can do is look at their screens.
Hmm.
And worse than that is looking at porn and, you know,
Hmm.
masturbating for it. And that's the best they can do with free time. That's
Yeah.
the best you can do. Plant a garden. I mean, you could do so many things. I mean, that's what the Amish have. The Amish have a really great idea. No free time. Not that you're frenetic, but the Amish have a work ethic that having nothing to do is a bad idea.
Yeah. Idle hands are the devil's plaything. Is that what they
And
say?
it's and it's true. You look at people who have free time, and what are they doing in their free time? Are they reading
Hmm.
great works of literature, discussing things, philosophical discussions? Are they playing chess even? Are they having meeting people or working for society? Are they praying and meditating? Are they coming to a higher state of being and compassion and love and giving? Are they developing themselves and their own character? Are they developing their own health? Are they taking care of things themselves in the home? Are they beautifying their neighborhood? Are they
Hmm.
helping a community? What are they doing with their free time? Looking at a screen.
Yeah.
Not a shared screen. When I was a kid, we had TV sets in the house. We had black and white TV sets. That's how far back I go.
Mhm.
Black and white TV sets.
Wow.
3 channels. Channel 2, Channel 13, and Channel 11. Three
Wow.
channels. That's all we had.
That's
And
awesome.
but the
I
family,
want to
we'd
go
all watch
back,
this.
man.
Yeah. We'd all watch this together. We'd all at least be together watching the
Hmm.
screen. And we talk, interact, and kibitz a little bit around on the commercial breaks and so forth. But it was even though watching a screen was still an interactive time. But now the screens are all individualized,
Hmm.
isolated. And that's the best you can do with your free time. You have this God-given gift of free time. And what are you doing with it?
Hmm.
Higher levels of understanding, inspiration, mastery. Are you mastering something in your life?
Hmm.
I mean, what are you trying to master in your life? Are you
Yeah.
taking time out to really get even a small thing, but to bring your soul powers to the fore and master something, whatever that something may be? Are you coming to a point of connection with your creator, with society, with family, your friends? What are you doing with yourself? What are you doing with yourself? And so our society we have the greatest opportunity in history ever. And we need to, it's such a shame to watch people waste their lives.
Hmm.
Watch them waste it.
Yeah.
And
It's sorry, go on.
so now what I'm going to suggest, now complaining about these things is all good and well. We can talk about these things and how horrible things are. And we talk about all these kinds of stuff. But I'm going to give you some suggestions, things to do. And this is what I do with my client. I coach men how to become better fathers and husbands. And ultimately how to become better men, ultimately. And the things to do. Step one is read the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective
Ivy.
People.
Hmm.
Read that book. It is great.
Hmm.
Of course, my own book, A Real Man's Guide to Become a Terrific Dad, it gives you guidelines, and it's sequential on how to progress from being a man of integrity. How do you become? What's your first step? Are you a man of integrity? Where are you holding in life? Are you respectable? First step, are you respectable? You walk and you talk. And work on your own self inside. Then the book takes you through a process. All the way through. And then you develop, and you do a couple of times so you finally get it. Then also take on a project. Do some volunteer work. Every community needs volunteer work. I don't care, a place of worship. Help clean the place. I don't care. Do something. Volunteer something, someplace. Get involved in life. Get involved in something. Look around the world. What needs fixing, and do something there. Whatever it might be. Bring peace and love to the world. Do whatever. Do something that makes the world a little bit better. Make a garden. Do a garden. There's so many things you can do in life. Start looking. And when you start finding things to do, all of a sudden what happens to you as you're doing things? What happens to you?
From my personal experience, the way that I view it is you see, oh, I can make a positive impact. And that
Bingo.
Inherently goes, I have self-worth. I'm useful to my society.
There you go, bingo. You now have a meaningful life.
Mm-hmm.
There's another great book, Towards a Meaningful Life. Another great book. Another one is A Man's Search for Meaning.
Mm-hmm. Viktor Frankl.
These are great works to read and learn and study. Mm-hmm. And you have free time, put that verstunkene screen away. That means, like, I don't know, hey, verstunkene. Sounds like it is.
Stunkene? Is that what you said?
Yeah, verstunkene.
Verstunkene. I like that.
Put it away and open a book.
Yeah, 100%. And
then,
sorry, I was going to say, because, back in the day, and I'm just saying this to establish kind of like a precedence. Like back in the day when books came out, like there's that idea where people were like, oh, people that sit around reading books all day, they're going to destroy their memory. Right. And then, as each new technology comes out, there's kind of like the group of people that go, oh, that's just going to destroy this part of the human brain or destroy this part of the human spirit or whatever it is. But somewhere along the line, I feel like they were right. Because like nowadays, like if you were to think of, I want to think of like a restful, leisurely, passive kind of thing to do. And it's like kind of like, well, if you were to paint a painting or read a book, make some art, that's kind of like a nice thing to do. Like nobody really looks down on that. But if you are to watch Netflix for 3 hours, down a bottle of wine, eat a frozen pizza, and have a donut, people will be like, well, dude, that's self-care. I'm resting. I'm rewarding myself. I'm giving myself, you know what I mean? Like somewhere along the line, it actually did become what people were saying it was, to the point now where like, if guys read a book, like if you're like, oh, I had an hour to kill before my next meeting. And you're like, well, what'd you do? Which movie did you watch? Or what YouTube algorithm did you go down? You're like, no, I read a book. People are like, what are you, a monk? Like what kind of like what's going on here? Like it's like almost like now the people that like 300 when the printing press first came out, people would be like, "Oh, you reading books? You wasting time." Now
I've never heard that. I've never heard reading books wasting time, and I've been around for a long time.
I've
never heard that.
I'm just trying to say, like, as a new technology comes out, there's a portion of society that says, well, if you have to write down your information and read it, how are you going to grow your hippocampus? You know what I mean? Like you get, again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know all these things. I'm just saying, like, for example, like people look at technologies as they emerge and they go, well, that's going to rob the human being of the ability to do whatever that technology does. I'm not saying I agree with it.
I disagree. I disagree.
I don't agree with
back
it.
in history, I've been around a long time, and it's always been, people who read books are always better. I remember actually there was a Lone Ranger episode. Did you ever watch The Lone Ranger?
Yeah.
Yeah. And one time, Lone Ranger and Tonto were in some cabin, and Tonto looks around with his kind of Indian-speaking kind of accent. No books. Must be stupid man here. Something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's very interesting that books have always been a sign of intellectual accomplishment and acuity. There was an interesting, I just saw recently, it was during a congressional hearing, and the fellow was testifying before Congress the devastating effect that technology has on education of children. He said the first time in history, the children are stupider than their parents. The kids, all this technology, looking at digitalized information, doesn't land the same way as reading a book or looking at text. And looking on screens doesn't work, does not go to the brain the same way. And they actually have lesser aptitude, more information, but less knowledge. They have access, but they're actually less intelligent than their parents.
Oh, yeah.
And so they correlated that with text. You wanted books with text. Reading text makes a difference. And holding a book in your hands and the paper, and the way the paper works in interaction with your eyes and your brain, it makes a difference when you're reading.
Oh, yeah.
And I get a really cool study group. We meet once a month, and we're reading an old book. The original book is over 100 years old, 120 years old. On the healing, called an osteopath. I'm an osteopath. I have a doctor that we use hands-on to help diagnose and treat as well as prescribing. And looking at the old masters from the 1800s, early 1900s, and how they wrote, how they thought, and discussing it. We may take a half an hour discussing one paragraph. They're all doctors talking, and then discussions go quite interesting, deep discussions. One paragraph, take a half an hour to discuss one paragraph. Read it and discuss it. Read and discuss, like a study group. It's amazing. There's so much you can do with your life. Now, here's the problem, Mark. Here's the problem. To find people who want to do that with you, and someone who's going to mentor that group. You need a leader of the group. Mm-hmm. There was a time men would get together and they would just have intellectual discussions and conversations and arguments for the sake of argument, not to insult, but to get into discussion. And when I was a kid, it was called defend your position.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned about
sparring.
Right, exactly. Defend your position. Can you defend your point to the point where, and then I'll challenge you back and forth, and you really refine it. It becomes a very clear, and maybe perhaps you were wrong. Maybe you learned something. Who knows? But the brain develops in a way that wouldn't develop any other way, because you're really working that mental capacity to think and to challenge and be challenged. So I'm going to give you another shameless plug, because this is what I'm trying to create. I'm creating men to get together. I start off with a topic, a discussion, and then we have breakout groups of men to talk with each other to work through these issues in life. We'll discuss, for instance, the importance of discipline, or what's love, or forgiveness, or all different kind of topics. Have a discussion, I give a presentation, and then we have breakout sessions, and men discuss amongst themselves. We join together and have a mentor discussion of what people came up with. To really challenge, to grow, and to develop ourselves as men, both our character, our relationships, and our families, and to create a whole new paradigm of how men can be, how you can be. You can become something, and you don't need to have a great company, CEO or whatever. You can be a regular guy and be a giant. I've known many men who were giants. They were simple guys. They had simple jobs. They were simple tasks, whatever they did, and sales, whatever they did. But they were giants because they had such character. They walked in the room and said, "Whoa, that guy, you just want to talk to him." Why? Because something about this fellow says, "This guy's got character." That's the guy I want to talk to. That's the guy I want to be like. Character.
Yeah. Like the Elvis Presley effect.
Well, I think that might be a better example of a character than Elvis Presley. But
No. I'm just saying, like, there's the fact that he's just the icon. That he just demands attention. He just demands that kind of. He's got that essence, that power, where like he walks in a room and people are like, "Wait, what just happened?" Like the energy shifted. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
one of
that
those.
is true. That's true.
One of those. But okay, so two questions for you. A, I guess maybe three. The first one being, how are we doing for time? Do you got to jump soon?
I get I get a few more minutes. I got some more time. I got a few about
Okay.
5, 10 minutes left.
Okay. Okay, so I'll jump into it then. So how do you think that, like, in the very beginning we talked about, people don't get that love from their father, whatever, they find themselves in the position where they're not, living a life that has meaning. They're not living with integrity. These are kind of things you were saying. How does someone identify, like, should I be getting a book like this? Should I be looking into something like this? And then the add-on to that question, the B, is, what would be like three steps if I was a big idiot and didn't know what to do? What would be like the three things I could, like, an actionable? I know things aren't always like a one, you do it once and done, but like if I wanted to start today, what how would I identify I've got that issue, and then how would I start today on fixing it? If I could ask you that.
Okay, it's actually two parts of the same question. It sounds like to me the
Hmm.
same question, same idea. Is
Hmm.
let's get down to the brass tacks. What should a man do right now, starting now? What
Well,
should you
first,
do?
how do I identify? Like, because some guys just go, and again, it's not really even like a guy girl thing, but I feel like so many people go through life, and there's like the whole biblical story of like, how could I point out the splinter in my brother's eye when I've got a log in mine? You know what I mean? Like, we go through this life and go like, oh, that guy's a jack off. This person's whatever, whatever. But how do I identify in myself? I need to start making improvement. And then what do I do? Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's the flaws you see in others are the flaws we have ourselves. And when you flaw you see in others, you look inside. Where do I have that exact same issue?
Hmm.
And you'll see. Because you may see something that I may not register. I may see something you may not think, but it's not a big deal, but I may find it very offensive.
Hmm.
So where's the flaw? So if what you're seeing, we see what we look for, and we look for is what's relevant to us. So first step is what you're seeing in others is really what's going on with you. They say in the 12-step programs from Alcoholics Anonymous, you point one finger out, you have three fingers pointing back at you.
Hmm.
Look at somebody else, they're pointing right back at you. You got three times what you're seeing in others. That's the first thing. And so you see a flaw, that's yourself, examine it. And you got to be, it's fearless. It's a fearless and searching inventory of who you are. By the way, another great book to read and study is the 12-step book from Alcoholics Anonymous.
Hmm.
It is prophetic. It is so good. Every word is prophetic. The 12-step program from Alcoholics Anonymous. What do? Recognize you need help. Most men have a hard time saying, I need some work. I'm willing to open the working on myself. I'm open to doing what it takes to become the man I want to become. Most men have a hard time with that. It's really hard to accept that. Very hard. But when you get past your insecurities and say, okay, I can be flawed and I'm okay. I'm not perfect, but I'm wonderful, and that's okay. I've worked to work on. I'm going to do what it takes to become the man I want to become. That's the first step. Being it's okay. You have flaws, and what's it take to get over them? You may need some friends who are willing to look and share with you what your issues are
Hmm.
in a safe place. And let's talk about this. There's the grand rabbi of Lubavitch from years ago said, if you have a question, get three friends together and work it out. Get three friends together and help guide me.
Hmm.
They're going to see stuff you don't want to see. Now it gets really rough. Mark, it's going to get really rough. They're going to see things you don't want people to know about, and they see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you see things in your friends that they don't see in themselves. Get a group, three guys together that you can respect, that are not afraid to be open. Do that. Get the book. Get the Man's Guide to Terrific Dad book. It's sequential. It's organized to bring you through a level. It took years to put this together. I mean, hardworking years to get it to a point where you can follow sequentially what it takes to be a man of character.
Hmm.
Are you respectable? Do you respect others? What's it mean to be respectable? Are you aware of other people around, how you affect others around you? Are you consistent? How's your discipline? Are you loving and forgiving? All these things are critically important in developing your own character and moving forward in life. So now you have friends, you have a book, you have a guide to discuss, you start acting on these things, your life will start to morph. If you want additional help, go to my website. Sign up for a free consultation. Let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit. Let's see we need direction. Maybe you want to join a program or not. Maybe you want coaching. Maybe you want some of that stuff. You probably will need. We all need something. We all need some form of mentorship.
Hmm.
And maybe that'll be beneficial to you. And I'll tell you, it probably will be very beneficial to you to have someone listen to you deeply, get what's going on in your heart, your mind, and your soul, and give a little direction where to go. Can't beat that.
Yeah. And
And I'll tell you something else. We all need it.
oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. This has been like it's a very humbling year for me. And I know that even just like little things, like it's like the first year where, and again, I've been like into fitness. I've been an athlete, student athlete, whatever. Never like high end professional. But I've been exercising and working out, lifting weights. I worked in gyms for years. And this is the first year where like I've actually seeked guidance from a kinesiologist, a trainer, physio. Like it's like it got to a point where I remember even having the thought, I never I this is the like I didn't train enough to know I needed help. And now it's
Wow.
like the first year where it's like, oh, I actually know I'm at a point now where I need help. And it's that was kind of a revelation for me. And then the other thing that I was humbled by this year, alongside kind of my shoulder surgery and everything there, was I got married this year, and I was very like intentional with who I spent my time around, because I remember my pastor even telling me, he's like, you want to surround yourself with people that especially in the first few years of your marriage, that like when you don't want to have bar friends. You don't want to have the types of people where you get in an argument with your wife and you go to them and they go, uh, you know, screw that person. Like, let's go get you a new girl. Let's go to the bar. Let's do that. Like, you want to surround yourself with people going, all right, man, like, where did you fail? How did you get to this position? Like, I know, like, my best friend, the guy that was my best man, if I call him and tell him about an argument, he'd be like, dude, what did you say? Because he knows me so well that he'd be like, what did you say, man? Like, what happened? Like, run me through it. And it would always be like I've kind of got the people around me now where it's like they're going to push us back together. And I'm not saying that all to just be like self-righteous, but I'm saying it because when you say to collect yourself three friends and a mentor, like you really do have to be. This is the first year where I've realized it firsthand, like selective with who those people are, and ensure that they're going to push you in the right direction and the direction that is right for you. Because some people, maybe they can get away with not having the family and just working their whole life. And for them, they've defined success and they're satisfied and happy. But I know for myself, that's not what I'm looking for. I want to be a father. I want to be a good father, like a great father. And so for me, like I need to purposely like think about that with who I'm going to with these issues. Because again, if I run through just the people that I work with on a day-to-day basis, the construction guys, other carpenters, you're going to find a whole slew of people that'll be open to just grabbing a box of beer with you after work and complaining. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
very easy to find the wrong peers.
very easy. So, what I'm going to offer you, and we could have done it on the program, maybe another time we'll do it if you like. Why don't you go to the website, grab a time, let's talk and do an inventory on you, see what comes up,
Yeah, yeah, I'm
see how it
down.
feels.
I'm
It's
definitely down.
beaterrificdad.com.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna
Check
check
it
it
out.
out and I'm gonna get your book, man. You've got me sold on it. I
Great.
really
And
appreciate it.
let's see where it takes you. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'm down, man. I really do appreciate your time today, and I appreciate that just the idea. I'm gonna get the book, dude. I'm really interested in reading about this and hearing about this.
Great. Well, Mark, it's been great. Thank you very much for having me on the program. And
Likewise, man. Thank you very much. The pleasure's all mine. And you got an open door anytime you want to chat. Just shoot me a message. I'll send you a message as well after this, just in regards to um, information for the description, stuff like that. But other than that, thank you very much for your time, man. I hope you have the rest of a good Sunday, and this will be up tomorrow.
wonderful. Mark,
All right.
God bless you, man.
You as well. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Peace and
Bye
love.
bye.
Bye now.